Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the January 4th workshop meeting to order. Would you all please stand for the salute to the flag? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you all please remain standing for a moment in silent observation for our troops that are fighting all over this world so we can enjoy the democracy that we live in on a daily basis. Me personally, I'll be praying for them. We have the need for executive session, so let's get that out of the way.
Mayor, should we do the opening statement and roll call?
That may be next, ma'am. Yes, would you please?
Sure. Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this workshop meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on December 29, 2010, by the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Asbury Park Press, Tri-Town News, and Star Ledger for publication on December 29, 2010, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on December 29, 2010. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with 3 emergency exits for your safety. The locations are as follows. Upon exit in meeting room to the rear, there to immediate left and immediate right, and at the front of the meeting room at the left of the dais. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television.
Have a roll call, please, ma'am.
Mrs. Clark?
Present.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Present.
Mayor Walsh?
Here. Reports of township officials. Mr. Nunziata, good evening. Happy New Year. Anything you'd like to say to us this evening, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing tonight.
Mr. Filiaccio, nice to see you, sir.
Good evening. Nothing to report tonight, Mayor.
Ms. Kingdom, you need to have something for me. Have something for me.
Meet Steve. Other than Steve, I have nothing new.
You should have something. You know what? I gotta give you an A for coming up with something like that. Ms. Schlegel.
Nothing, Mayor, other than I just like to welcome Stephen Fetcher to manager's office. He's been reassigned and will be acting as a confidential assistant to the manager and will be handling some special projects for administration.
Stephen's been with the township for how many years now?
8 years.
Stephen?
I've been here 8 years.
And can I have Mike?
I've been here 8 years.
I think I've met you before, Steve. Stephen, anything you'd like to report this evening?
I have nothing tonight.
We'll give you a break on your first meeting, all right? On the January 18th meeting, I want a long list.
You got it.
Ms. Wallman,
Nothing, Mayor.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Let's start over, Mrs. Smith. Anything?
Just Happy New Year to everyone. Hope everybody's safe and sound after the storm.
Councilman Castro.
Nothing.
Councilwoman.
Nothing for me.
And for my first time, Deputy Mayor.
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay, I have a couple little things that I would like to just bring up. I have some stuff for you, Ms. Schlegel, but I also I know we don't have to vote on this, but do I have to announce it publicly that Curtis Vaslaki is going to be my designee to the planning board? We didn't talk about it the other day during the meeting.
You just announced it.
I just You know, I gotta check with my barrister.
That's fine. You don't have to take any formal action. You
Oh, I
designate
just
him.
took the formal action. Okay, I checked with Mr. Vislaki today, and I made sure he will be my designee to the planning board. Maybe sometime later in the year, I told him maybe I would take my seat. But at this time, I have other things that I must do. I have one other thing that I'd like to bring up to the governing body, and it is something really for you to decide. I don't believe Hal's been involved in this in a while, and I would, if you want me to, it's the Jersey Conference of Mayors. They have an office down in Trenton. Some of the things we've been striving to do, the governing body and Ms. Schlegel, as far as receiving grants and trying to get different things done from Howell Township, I'm not sure whether this would be what you would want me to do or not, but I want to throw it out to you. To join the Jersey Conference of Mayors, because we have a town over 50,000 people, is $1,140. They have meetings once or twice a month down in Trenton. They do some other things. I think it would help us, but I couldn't be sure until I was active in it. But it's really up to the governing body. I don't think we've been involved, as far as I know. Mr. Filiaccio, going back, have we ever been involved in the Jersey Conference of Mayors?
Not to my recollection, Mayor.
Okay. Well, it's something for the governing body. We don't have to, if anybody wants to discuss it now, you can. We'll discuss it at the next meeting. Okay. They do make the membership fee based on population. They figure if you have more, you can pay more. Well, I figure if we have more, we can get more. I don't know if that's the way it works. But I would go, I would participate. I can't tell you that I would continue to go if I thought going really did nothing for the residents of Howell Township. But I think it's something maybe worth an interest of looking into and joining.
For any of those council members that would want additional information, I believe you can get it off the New Jersey League of Municipalities website. So if you want to just review that prior, we'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting. But you can get some information off of that website, and I'll send you that. And Councilwoman Smith, I'll print that out for you and have it sent to you.
Okay. Received a nice letter from the Office of Emergency Management from Glenn Mason, the coordinator in the county. Congratulating Ron Sanisek. I'll turn that over to you, Ms. Schlegel. And for me, that's about it this evening. We have a little bit of work to do, some things to set up for the year. Where would we like to start? How about let's open the meeting to the public. For anybody who'd like to comment on consent agenda items.
We aren't voting on anything, so is that necessary?
I don't know, Ms. Woman wrote it down, so I read it.
We're not voting on anything.
We're not voting on anything this evening?
No, you'll do the, you can introduce the ordinance.
Okay. I need a council member.
This is for,
Yeah.
No, okay, never mind.
we're going right to the.
Do you want to go to
I got
the
it.
resolutions first? Or go to
Ms. Woman
the...
just asked me to introduce the ordinance. I went to right where she told us to go.
Thank you, Mayor. If there's a question, I suppose we certainly can talk about resolutions.
No question, I would move for resolutions.
Okay, and they'll be listed on the next agenda, regular meeting for action.
Very good.
And if nothing else is happening, we just would need a motion to go into regular session before
So
we
moved.
introduce.
Second.
Introduce.
Give me a roll call, please, Ms. Woman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. Introduction of ordinances. I'm a member of the council. Can I do that now, Ms. Woman?
Yes.
Mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 0-11-1 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the 1/7/11 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it be further considered for final passage after public hearing and meeting of the Township Council will be held on 1/18/2011 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call, please, Ms. Roman.
I'm going to read the title first. An ordinance amending Chapter 139 entitled Fees, Charges, and Costs of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell. Roll call, Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
I still have a problem with the annual fee of $100 for a person to come in and fill out a piece of paper, one sheet of paper. It seems excessive to me, and if somebody just has one space that they're renting, and it isn't the business of their lives, but it means something to them. It just does. It seems like it's too much to me.
So what is your vote, yes or no, ma'am?
No.
Okay?
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. What else we have, just this revised one? Or is this it? Do we have anything else that we need to do?
No, Mayor.
Okay, let's talk a little bit then. What direction does this governing body hope to go in the next 3-4 months? What kind of information would we like to see collected? Where are we going with our legal department? I want to see what our agenda is for the next 90 days. I know, Ms. Slater, you've already had meetings this week after the snowstorm last week.
That's correct.
We all know that the workers worked as hard as they possibly could. We all know that we hope to improve on the timing of the job.
We're just going to enhance and build upon our current operations.
Okay? I know at the end this time that we were able to get some front-end loaders with all this heavy snow. Will they be available in the future, do you know?
We are working with those residents to ask if they would be available.
Okay. Anything else that you're working on that we need to know about in the next 90 days?
In reference to, we're working on a whole lot of things.
Let's go. I want to know what we're doing in the next 90 days.
We're working on getting our credit card, usage of credit cards up and running. It will be face-to-face first on pilot. We're going to use 3 departments as a pilot program. We will then be going online with credit cards, so we expect that to happen over the next 90 days. We expect to go to electronic purchase orders, which is an internal operation. And we are just moving ahead.
How are we with the budget?
We are waiting on the final figures. Mr. Filiatro and his staff worked over the holiday to close out the books. We should have some kind of figures for the mayor and council by the end of this week.
An accurate timetable, Mr. Filiaccio? We hope to have something by the end of this week.
That is an accurate timetable.
Okay. How are we looking? We're flush with cash, right?
No, we're not flush with cash. It's certainly, I believe we'll be as trying as last year. But I don't have the final figures. I don't have the final surplus figure. That's the last number to fit into place. So, give me another couple of days, and I'll have, final figures for you.
As trying as last year?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, we consider last year trying?
Just a tad.
Just a tad. Okay. With the legal department, Ms. King, what are we working on the next 90 days? What ordinances are you looking to change? Or, we've discussed some different things. I know you had some directions you were going in.
Right now, I think the initial process is to take a look at the solar ordinance. I think that we had brought that up a few meetings ago. I'd met with Councilman DeCastro, our professionals, at least 12 people in a room, to discuss how we were going to handle them going forward in terms of solar farms as opposed to residential solar panels. And I'll probably have something within the next 30 days for the governing body to look at, our professionals to look at, and whatever committees have to review it.
Mr. DeCastro, would you know if, Councilman, if any applications that come before the planning board?
No.
None that
For
you
solar
see?
farms?
Mhm.
No, right now it would go before the zoning board.
Right now, we'll go before the zoning board.
Right.
We,
It's not a permitted use yet in this town.
so it's
Well,
not a
it's- Some of it, by state, is permitted in certain circumstances. But it still does have to go before the zoning board because it was determined to be inherently beneficial, and it's part of the wind turbines, solar farms.
I saw some of our wind turbines today wearing brick.
2 of them.
2 of them, right? They put a couple
So a lot of this green energy is going to be coming up. I know that our code enforcement officer has discussed it with 2 different individuals, solar farms. And right now, there isn't much that we have in terms of some guidance, but there'll be something in place.
Okay.
Mayor, I just wanted to also mention that we have a tentative meeting scheduled with the Board of Education to see if we can have some working agreements in a couple of areas that need to be looked at.
That's January 25th, is that meeting?
I believe that's the tentative date, yes.
And we just signed an interlocal agreement with Marlboro, correct?
Yes.
Do we have them in place already with brick and wall?
Regarding that, the one with Marlboro, I believe, is for the firing range.
Okay. Do we already have things in place with wall and brick?
I'd have to check with the chief. I'm not aware of whether we do or not.
Well, I know contrary to popular writings, that Wall and Brick called us last Wednesday to ask us for help with snow removal. Okay?
That's correct.
So, well, we need to have something in place ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Okay. Why don't we work on that with some of our neighboring towns?
Actually, what I'm researching is that we actually enter into some interlocal agreements with towns not in our area. For example, when an incident like a significant snowfall happens, it happens in a concentrated area. For example, Monmouth County was the epicenter of the snowstorm, but perhaps Trenton was not. So what we were looking at possibly doing is enter into an interlocal, for example, with a Trenton or an Atlantic City or a city up north, so that when only our area is hit with one significant event, that they are not hit at the same time, and they could send us the resources. And in return, I know there are some issues with them with rivers flooding and other things that are happening only in their area when we are not experiencing a significant event, and we would be available to send resources to aid them. So we are looking for outside of our immediate area. So as I said, generally when something happens in the area, it's also happening in the surrounding towns, and they don't have the resources to give us. But those areas, if we pick a city up north, city to our west, and a city to our south, and we enter into local agreement, should they need our help, that we would certainly help them in an event that they will be experiencing, flooding, different things like that, where we would not be experiencing that.
That's why I'm only a lowly mayor and you're the manager. You run the day-to-day operations.
Excellent.
That's all. Let's do everything we can to just try to stay out of the curve somewhat with the solar. With doing those interlocal agreements. But I know that Wall and Brick had called last week asking for help, and I was just wondering if we had things in place where we could have helped them.
We didn't have the resources. All of our available resources obviously were dedicated to Howell Township. And we were also, we had lent some assistance to the New Jersey State Department of Transportation. So we were assisting them as well. And I just want to thank the Monmouth County because they had sent some equipment to help us
So we help the
up on
state.
Howell Road. Yes, we did. We assisted them on a few of their areas.
Maybe we ought to cut back on our state aid to them.
Maybe they should increase theirs to us
Okay?
if they want our help.
And Mayor, just to add on that, there were a couple of residents that helped out, so we have the names, and I think the residents that stepped up and really helped us, that we need to recognize them. So maybe we'll set that up.
We'll put something together.
And make sure it wasn't home. I'm sorry. Well, who stepped up? Vinnie?
Mr. Tantillo and Mr. Blewett. And we thank them for all the assistance that they gave us.
Yeah, Mr. Tantillo, Mr. Blewett?
The Blewett family has been very supportive of Howell Township as long as I can remember, and probably before my time.
And we are also beginning to plan ahead, because with this type of weather, as you well know, this is going to create a horrific pothole season.
Yeah, I would think so. Moist and cold?
Could I say one thing?
Certainly.
Councilwoman, feel free.
It felt really good, that spot coming up to Peskin Road, where there used to be a hole and it filled with ice, and you lost it every time you hit it as you started to stop. I thought of you guys when I was going over that patch. It was nice and neat. No more hole.
And maybe Mr.
And there are other places like
Right.
that also.
And maybe Mr. Nunziato can just enlighten us a little bit on how this kind of weather will cause an additional potholes this year.
Well, let me give you some good news before we get to the bad news. The West Farms Road contract was paved, completed. We're going through the punch list, so that one has been completed. The Aldrich Road West contract, we have begun working on the plans and the specs. I'd like to have that done by the end of February so we can actually go out to bid come April, so that one we can get out right away. I've been in contact with the Rutgers people last month, middle of December. I tried to get in with them, but due to their holiday schedule and some travel of some of their staff, we actually have a meeting next week set up with them. They're going to actually come in, download all their data for the complete entire road inventory, so we'll finally have that. And at that point, we can actually put a program together, just depending budget-wise, whether it's $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. I mean, it's as much as you want to spend, we can actually do. And that we can actually start putting together in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we can have, whether we do mini programs or larger ones, that stuff will actually hopefully be done and ready to go out to bid in April when the plants start opening back up. But as far as the potholes, it's really a freeze-thaw cycle. You know, the water gets into the cracks, it freezes, it expands, and it blows the roads apart. Unfortunately, when you have the cold and then the warm, it melts, it freezes, it thaws, it expands, and it blows out. So that, you know, is the cycle. Unfortunately, that is going to happen for the next couple months. And unfortunately, you know, as far as coal patch is concerned, you know, there's not really hot material. You could put it in a box, but, you know, there's two different kinds of material. One has a different kind of binder to it. It's more expensive. It holds up better. Other stuff, you put it in, you pack it, and, you know, you can almost shovel it away when you're done. So that's the challenge we have until the spring.
Well, I'd just like to make sure that we have a plan in place that immediately comes springtime, that's some of these real bad potholes, because we know we get some real bad ones on there. We have some old roads that weren't exactly built the right way. We know that, Mr. Nunziata.
Absolutely. There are a lot of farm roads that were built 50 years ago or more, and they weren't meant for the traffic that are on them today. They're narrow. You know, there's no shoulders. There's no drainage. So it is challenging.
There's no base. They're just blacktop on dirt. That's a big problem. So they crack all up. That's where you get all those potholes.
You know, and roads like that, unfortunately, you cannot mill, you know, the surface and pave over. You almost have to reconstruct, and that does get costly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just make sure we have something in place.
We have a plan in place, but you need to know that plans cost money. So, I mean, funds right now are very limited.
And as one of us keeps saying, baby steps. Just so long as we go forward.
Is that me? Baby steps?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Deputy Mayor? Anything
No.
you'd like to ask?
No, I'm good. Kind of just waiting to see if there's any questions or comments about the storm that we can address for people, but that's about it.
Okay. We're good,
You have to open up to the public.
maybe. Didn't I do that already?
No.
That was just for consent agenda.
This time, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Noel Hoover. State your name and address, please, for the record. And then please speak into the mic.
Noel Hoover, 21 Maxim Road.
How you doing, Noel?
Hi. You had the 9A1 fee amendment tonight that you just talked of for the ordinance fee. It seems that you have the fire prevention doing the CCOs now, and you're just changing the ordinance fee. They've been doing it since November 1st. Where are the fees been going?
Ms.
You got the
Kingan.
cart before the horse.
Ms. Kingan.
The fees that were previously collected, the CCOs or the smoke detector, all of those fees was $35 and was rolled into the prior inspection fees.
But you're charging $100 and you're not getting an
Charging
inspection.
$100 for, right.
You're changing the fees now.
All right,
But
you're gonna have
people,
to speak.
the public has
Sorry.
been charged $100 for a full inspection, and since November 1st, all they're getting is smoke, fire, and carbon.
They weren't charged $100 for full
You
inspection.
changed the fee before you put the ordinance in there.
Hold on, you have to speak into the mic.
Tonight, you're amending the ordinance for the fee, yet you're telling me since November 1st, you've already changed the fee.
We didn't change the fee.
It's not a CCO. It's a fire inspection. It's not a CCO, and the fire inspection fees
But
are
I've
set
been to
somewhere
4 or
else.
5 of the last meetings, and you've been discussing changing the CCOs since then, from full inspection to a fire inspection, and you're just...
Excuse me, can I try? There was a fee that comes under something else for the fire inspections. That's what that comes under. Am I not correct?
Taking out the 30.
Did a CCO inspection to a fire prevention inspection,
Falls under the
those
state.
fees were dictated by the code that the Fire Bureau
Right,
administers.
But it
He's
wasn't
saying it much
changed
more
at any of the
eloquently than
public
I
meetings
did.
I've been here. That was
Well, I
that
think it
never
was
happened.
changed by process. It was clearly
Policy.
stated what the intent of the inspections were. I'm not sure of what your question is.
The entire Township of Howell had a full CCO inspection on all their homes, and you changed it to just smoke, fire, and carbon.
Correct.
So the inspection fees that the people are coming in to get their homes inspected, now it's just smoke, fire, and carbon, but you're just changing the ordinance for that now. So how is it you're doing the cart before the horse?
Ms. Kingan.
I don't even understand the question.
That's why I want you to address it.
On November 1st, it was decided that the residential resale inspections would be modified to just what the state requires: smoke detector, carbon monoxide, fire extinguisher. There is a fee for that.
Well, there wasn't a fee because it was done by the housing inspector.
That fee that the smoke detector fee that was charged previously was charged also by that department.
But the fire department didn't go out and do those inspections.
Hold on.
This
All
your
right,
chief
hold on.
housing inspector went out and did the inspections.
Hold on. The fire inspector was in my building last week. Okay? So the fire inspector does come out and inspect.
No, there's several different issues here. The main issue that we took action on as a governing body was that we decided we weren't going to do more than what was required
the state.
by the state
Correct.
for a transfer of ownership of a residential property. We decided we were going to eliminate the additional inspections.
Right.
When we did that, that automatically transferred the fee structure over to what the Fire Bureau would charge.
So then what happened tonight?
Well, nothing happened tonight except an ordinance being introduced on first reading.
So you started doing it November 1st, but you're just changing your
Hold
ordinance
on, all we
tonight
did tonight was introduce an ordinance.
for the
That's all we
fees.
did tonight.
For the fees.
But
that
no,
have been
after
charged
November
since
1st.
November 1st.
After November 1st, residents were not charged $100.
Anymore. They were only charged 35.
Right. And prior to that, that $100 included the $35 that was paid for that fire, smoke, carbon monoxide fee. It was taken out of that portion of the housing code. I don't,
So is Howell's Code 178 still in effect?
What is it that you'd really like to know? Okay?
Howell's,
direct, just be direct. Let's
Howell's
not-
Code 178 is still in effect, and it's in effect in several other municipalities where only smoke, carbon, and fire are required.
And that's Howell's Code 178. That's all true. That's what you have in the books.
Hold on. Just be specific, ask a question.
Okay, my question was, is Code 178 still in effect? And your answer is yes. It is
Yes.
still in effect.
It still is.
Okay.
And it also requires that in change of occupancies that you get the smoke, carbon, and fire.
Okay. That's all I like to know. That's all I know. Thank you.
Thank you. TJ Cohn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thomas J. Cohen, Monmouth Athletic Center. I'm the managing director. I'd like to congratulate the new council people for their new positions. Congratulations. I understand that there were some questions about our request to the county to include our entire property in the sewer service area. And we didn't apply to the town, we applied to the county. So the county then asked you for direction on changing the map. We would have been here with attorneys or whatever to ask any questions. We didn't really realize that it was, because our request was to the county and not to you directly. But, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I understand from the county, the letter states that you needed additional information.
We didn't know you were, truthfully, I'll be honest with
Know
you.
anything about that?
What took
Truthfully,
place
there were-
at the
there were
December
three people
4th. Okay.
Hold on.
Sure.
I believe there were 3 different people that questioned our 208 plan. We had an open public hearing. We spoke about it, and we didn't hear. There was nobody here.
Well, we didn't know we had to be here because our application was to the county and not to you directly. Then the county asked you for your input. I mean, I don't like to miss any opportunity to talk about the Monmouth Athletic Center, Mr. Mayor. So clearly I would have been here.
Well, from our end, we already replied to the county. Is that a correct answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I did speak with the county, and they said that your letter reflects that you were looking for additional information.
That's not what we say.
Hold on, Councilwoman Smith. We don't know exactly what was said in that letter. What was said in that letter?
You've got a copy of it.
I don't see it. What was said in that letter?
That the information provided by the other two applicants seeking a change or inclusion in the 2A plan didn't provide us with information that would yield the result to change it.
Okay.
Essentially, I think it was mentioned that your project was approved, you were looking to change the bathroom facilities, and that there was existing sewer available within the
Sure,
development.
yeah. I mean, our request was, because the zoning change was done in front of this governing body, and then we did the settlement with the zoning board, the property is fully zoned SED, and we went through the proper channels to apply then to the county during this 208 plan revision to include the entire property, which, really is kind of a common sense issue. We designed the plan originally to show the zoning board that we could put put the bathrooms on that side of the line on the lot in our conceptual plan. Now, as we work towards site plan, there may be different reasons why we might want to locate the bathrooms differently in the same structure. I mean, we were really limited. As I testified in front of this board before, the line runs through the building, and I can show you that in the site plan.
I have no issue. I have no issue with you. I just wish you would come, or a representative would have come.
We didn't take a position
Right.
per
Yeah.
se with respect to the other two applicants.
'Cause we
What we
weren't
did,
asked-
we
we weren't
indicated
asked to.
that was, we asked, what we said was, there's going to be additional hearings in January, more submissions made to the county, and that we want to be included in it, and if
Right.
we had any questions after that, then we would field them that way.
Okay, so what are you asking us here for now?
Well, I'm asking you, what the other information you need is. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about it, and if we could send a revised letter, based on your opinion on the application is really all I'm asking.
Okay. Well, I have no information I need. Do you have any information you need, Councilwoman?
No, sir. But I,
Councilman Castro?
No, we received information, so.
We received information on 11/30, which is the letter that I believe you're referencing, which shows your position that you wrote to the county.
Exactly.
Yeah, to be
we
honest
were,
with
we
you.
were aware of it. I
Okay.
mean,
Go ahead, Mr. Go ahead,
Well,
Deputy Mayor.
I mean, we had other people, property owners, that came before us and asked for us to support their position at the county if it made sense to do that. I gotta be honest, I don't believe that letter really asked us to do this. I read it as though that was what you were informing us that you were responding to the county on.
Yeah, we made the request through the proper channels in the county as directed. And the county then asked you for your opinion, and we would appreciate your support in this matter. I mean, the zone was changed, so basically the entire lot is zoned SED, but only half of it is in the sewer service area. I mean, there's really not going to be any increase in the utilization of the sewer service because it's going to be one use. And it's just another layer of issues we have to go through, and we spent substantial money to even apply to the county, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, listen, I have no issue. But I wish you had come. I'm being very honest with
Well,
you.
we really had we didn't receive any emails or anything. Our request was not to you.
Was not.
I mean, I would have loved to have been here.
Okay, where do we stand on this?
We had received a letter from the county. Ask, go ahead.
Where do we stand on which aspect?
Okay, where do we stand on this?
We've
Are we
responded.
done with the county?
Yes.
We responded. If the governing body wants to review the submissions again, you could do that, but I think that the timeframe within which we had to answer has since passed. We had until December 15th. She gave us actually a date after the December 3rd date she was looking for.
and will we have the opportunity,
To participate in the other hearings? Yes, yes.
So there will be opportunity
It's
later.
still a draft plan.
Okay. I'm going to, in the name of just being fair here, okay. I wish you had come. Councilman Castro, do you have any objection to what he's asking?
No, the way I recall it when we sat in on the meetings was we received the information that we had for the 3 applications that requested. We made it was decided that that we had the information for that one site and that we were going to wait to receive additional information from the application and that we still had time come January to deal with this issue.
Okay.
That's how I recall it.
Councilwoman Clark, do you have any objection
No.
to what he's asking for?
no, sir.
Councilwoman Smith?
Yes.
Okay. Any basis to any reason, just other than you do have issue with it?
My basis for my reason is that the area, it's not a good thing for the area, that's all. I'm not going to get into land use and everything.
No problem at all. Deputy Mayor, do you have any issue with what he's asking for?
I guess I'm not as sure of the process as I thought I was before. Isn't this already being heard at the county level?
Right.
So,
It's
so,
not done.
so what is there for us to hear? The county is already reviewing our submitted 208 plan. That's what this is about, right?
That's right. It's an ongoing process.
Okay.
This was the first round of draft review. The applicants made their submissions. We had put it on our website. We actually had put it on the agendas for discussion, had several discussions at several meetings about this. The one gentleman from the Farmer Brown site appeared at every meeting. I had asked the county to give me the submissions. I had to, if I wanted to get them from the county, I had to open them. So I had asked the applicants to forward them to me. TJ forwarded them to me on, I don't remember what date. I forwarded them all to you. But you received them, and I was decided that based upon the submissions that we weren't taking a position.
Right, but relative to the one that we did listen to,
Mm-hmm.
there was a whole nother issue as to why that parcel was not included.
Right.
And we
Which is
heard
why-
that.
which
and-
is- right, that's
And at
the-
the end of the
that's the-
day, we took a vote and we supported that contention. That had nothing to do with whether or not we thought that property was good or bad to be in the 208 plan. That was on we were having conversations about whether or not a line was drawn properly. Why would we now be listening to an applicant when the county is already reviewing the sewer plan?
Maybe I could I, the difference between the two applications or the two sites or properties, that was a technicality. This is a total addition. And we had said, Mr. Cohen is right, he deals with the county. That's between them and the county. And I think that's the major difference.
I guess
So what
what I'm
we-
getting at, it just,
We had
listen,
always,
I try to look at things that people have told me, do the best, some smart people say, try to do the best you can to make common sense, Bob, when you're making decisions. Try to use common sense. Okay. Do I wish you were here December 14th or 13th when we had the meeting? Yeah. I don't know why you weren't, okay? Other than you didn't think you needed to be. Well, we didn't discuss it because there was nobody here, okay? That's the only reason we didn't discuss it. We discussed Farmer Brown's in depth for about 45 minutes to an hour, if I recall. I personally have been involved in this, the litigation, for many years now. I do understand, but it has to be the will of the governing body if they want anything different to go to the county. It has to be.
Well, in that meeting on the 14th, I did watch the tapes, and there were some questions from the council as to, the process for this when there is a zone change. And when there is a zone change, the 208 plan doesn't automatically change. And we were aware of that. That's why we're now making the proper application. We're just looking for the support of the council. I mean, we've been through the ringer on this, and we've made a lot of decisions, that to advance Howell in this whole thing. I mean, in terms of our settlement. I mean, we did that to save the town taxpayer dollars in terms of a long, protracted litigation.
Listen, I happen to have voted for your application.
Yes, sir.
But truthfully, save that you saved the township money. Okay, it's okay, but I'm sure that's not why things have been settled, because top priorities were to save the township money.
Well, that was in the consideration, sir. Because
Sure,
you
I'm
did
s-
have two attorneys at the courturhouse,
I'm
and they were on
sure-
your dime, not ours, and that is taxpayer dollars.
Might have been consideration. I'm sure it wasn't at the top of the list. Okay, I'm sure it wasn't at the top. But I don't know what to. Me personally, okay, been involved in this a long time. Okay, unless it's the will of the governing body to send something now. to the county, I wouldn't know what to say. It would have to be up to the governing body.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Since the time has passed, I mean, we really technically cannot send anything to the governing body, to the county, correct? Unless, I mean, at some point, we will be getting information from them at their next meeting, and they may be asking for additional information. But at this point, the process has ended, and I understand Mr. Cohen's position, but, you know, we can't just start sending letters in support or not in support at this point. I mean, I guess, Ms. Kingdom, I'm looking for you to...
Jessica said that she wanted everything in by the 15th. I can certainly reach out to her and find out when she or the county anticipates holding those additional hearings on the draft review, because they'll be at the county level just like they were back in September. It's like the second round. So I'll find out what the process is after that, and if we're required to do anything after that.
Okay.
Just as a side note, you weren't required to do anything in open public as a governing body.
Yes.
All you had to do as a governing body was decide whether or not you wanted to make any changes to your 208 plan.
And we decided no.
We decided
We
no,
decided no.
With the
except
exception
for
of that one.
No, we decided
Well,
yes.
well,
to-
No, we
But-
decided no until we were convinced it was a technicality.
Right.
but we,
And
so we,
that's an addition, not an
Well,
addition.
Hold
Either
on,
way,
and
what
hold
we
on.
can-
For the record, my vote of Farmer Brown had no bearing that it was a technicality. My vote on Farmer Brown was, I believed I righted a wrong. That's not a technicality. I voted to right what was wrong. Okay? It was not a technicality, my vote at all. If you want to speak for yourself, ma'am, feel free, but don't speak for me.
I'll be happy to find out from Jessica Kubita what the next phasing process is and the dates and what we're required to do, if anything. And I'll let you know on the 18th, which is our next meeting. And if there's something that we're supposed to do, and that if Mr. Cohen wants to submit something to the governing body, and if we're supposed to discuss it again, then I'm sure that we'll go through that process again.
I appreciate that,
Ms.
Mr. Mayor.
Ransom.
And also, I would like to submit, we've continued with our engineering, I would like to submit a revised letter of interpretation for wetlands. It's good till 2015. So, you know, if environmental is an issue with the property, I think that'll, you know, give the board or the council their, you know, additional information.
So, what does it say?
It says that we have a letter of interpretation. We had one when we came for the zoning change. It did expire in the meantime, and we did renew it for another 15 years, another 5 years. It's good till 2015.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Barbara Dixell. Feeling okay, Barbara?
Yeah. Bad weather, sore knees. let me tell you.
Sore knees, huh? That's what I have to look forward to. They're
Yeah,
sore already.
Absolutely. Whatever helps. Okay,
Name and address, please.
Barbara Dixell, The Villages. I have to address something I have to address tonight. I have to address the Exxon station again this year.
Okay.
For a change, as they have for many years, they have not plowed their sidewalk. It's enough.
In front or in back, ma'am? I know it
Okay.
goes around both ways. I'm just asking.
They usually don't do either, but you can get onto the station. What the problem is, it's a very big piece of property. There is a sidewalk that goes completely around the station, all the way past the Villages to practically the beginning of what used to be the Wawa. That's now an empty store.
Yes.
Year after year after year, they do not plow anything. They just clean the part where they go in the tanks and fill your car with gas. As you know, we have a 450 car park and ride on Route 9 North. People getting off commuter buses at night have a tough time I know, I deal with DOT trying to get them to plow out these bus stops and Jersey Transit. But you can't get across the street. And when you get across the street, you take your life in your hands because it is pure solid ice, snow. They don't sand, they don't salt, they don't plow, they don't do anything because they just don't. And they have not for many years. I understand that they were fined this time?
Yes, they were.
Okay. What my request is, I keep trying to call this guy Rex Tillerson. He's the chairman and the CEO. I spoke to him last year a few times over the summer because of their poor maintenance of the grounds itself with grass and bushes overgrown on the sidewalk where people have to walk in the roadway to get around the bushes. They pulled a few and they finally decided to mow the lawn, and that was wonderful. Now we're back to winter, and it's... So I got a hold of a lady in New Brunswick, Canada today.
New Brunswick, Canada.
New Brunswick, Canada. She's...
You pay more for the call than the fine.
I don't care. I am the mayor. I have to tell you. I'm committed, and sometimes I think I need to be committed.
You see, I agree.
But I'm the county committee woman for the villages. I am morally responsible for the health, wealth, and safety of 1,000 people, and I take that very, very, very seriously. They can get me 24/7, I'm there. I have a big issue. When one of my people may want to walk to that Exxon station to get a quart of milk or to do something and walk out, and they fall down and they break a hip, but that's...
Okay, I'd like to ask a question, Ms. Dixon, one second. Ms. Slagle, they were fined?
There was a summons sent to them.
Okay. And last year, our township
Hold on.
had to
I'm not
plow the
done yet.
sidewalk.
Hold on, please.
And I just want to mention that we really, all of our available resources were dedicated to township roadways and township areas, and we just do not, I will be honest with you, we do not have the available resources to take care of private property.
Oh, there's-
Absolutely.
And nor
Yeah,
should we.
Yeah.
No, should you?
No,
Should you?
I just wanted
Absolutely.
to say, if we could, just so you know, though, if we could assist you in any way in this matter, because
absolutely.
it does affect our residents, we would.
I'm going
But
to give you
I
the
think
name
it's
of this
400
lady.
feet of sidewalk.
I'm going to give you the name of this lady, because last year, our township guys went out and
That's
plowed
right.
that sidewalk.
This came up on Monday,
Yes, it did.
and was that the first time that we heard that they were issued a summons?
Oh, this is not the first
This
time
is
we
not the
heard from
first
Mrs.
year.
Dixon
Is
Yeah.
there a,
about this.
But-
This is not.
but our code enforcement person, I think, responded back, correct me if I'm wrong, it's to the point where it's cheaper for them to pay the summons than it is to hire a landscaper to do the snow plowing.
That's correct. We were
Can't-
looking into the into the possibility of leaning the property. If you recall, in in that meeting
Right.
yesterday, there was discussions of actually putting a lien on the property.
Do we have an escalation penalty if we go back to the same place repetitively over and over and over again? Does the penalty escalate?
I can't answer that with full certainty.
Because all we're doing is we're becoming their landscaper.
Mhm.
So I think we need to find out if there's a way that we can put some teeth behind what we're finding, and when
And
they start
illegally.
when they start getting $10,000 fines as opposed to $400
But if
fines.
mi-
You
If
can't,
Miss-
you can't get a $10,000 fine in municipal court for an ordinance. It's up to $2,000. What you can do is every time they pay the violation, if it's not done, you send them another violation.
Right.
And but there's a time frame that you have to wait in order to give them notice of the violation. Then you get a court date. So that
Okay.
our hands are a little bit tied with respect
With
to
snow. Our hands a little bit tight
A little
because it'll
bit.
melt.
But what we could do is, if Mrs. Dixell would certainly give us that contact information,
I'm
which
gonna
I'm
give it
sure
to you right
she's
now. I have it
more
written
than
down.
willing, and we could have our township attorney contact
Brunswick,
New Brunswick, Canada.
It's an 800 number.
Do you want me to call myself?
But what I would request, very seriously, would really sincerely appreciate, because I did tell this lady this. I said, I was going to ask my governing body tonight to find them every day until they do this, and if they don't, shut them down.
Okay.
Close them down.
Okay, Mrs. Dixon, why don't we go this way for now?
Yeah, we
Ms.
don't have
Kingdom will
the-
contact this woman in Brunswick, Canada. I hope she's not at a payphone.
It's an 800 number, sir.
Okay. Hope she's not at a payphone.
But,
Okay, but
I'll
let's
call her
start
tomorrow,
there.
Barbara.
but
Let's
year
start-
after year after year, when you have to do the same thing,
Miss-
it's sickening.
Mrs. Dixon, let's start there.
Absolutely.
Deputy Mayor brought up some good suggestions. Let's see if we can do an escalating fine. Let's see if legally we can do
It's
that.
not repetitive.
We can't,
If we're
we can't.
issuing one and we go back there a week and it's not done, give them another one.
I told this lady today that corporate now has to tell these people where it's at.
Yeah.
It's got to come from top corporate,
Mayor, if I could
because
just-
they just don't care.
Okay. Councilman?
If I could just add, Barbara, in any business, when the business is going to learn is when they start hearing from many people. So what I would suggest, that when many people start going to the owner or calling Exxon and saying, we're not going to visit your business anymore because we're not satisfied with what you're doing, I think they're going to hear that loud and clear, other than just hearing from one person and getting a $400 fine. So
I'll-
just as a suggestion,
I'll ask my board of trustees to write a letter.
I
Absolutely.
would get as many people as you can
Yeah.
to send them that business a message
right.
that says, hey, you know what? We're not going to visit your store anymore, and it's going to hurt your pocket. I think they're going to get that message.
The main thrust of their business is traveling people down
Okay.
Route 9. You know, it's not so much the residents. It's
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Every dollar counts in this.
Doesn't make a difference. No boss wants to hear their business complained about all the time, period. I agree with Councilwoman Smith. Hand out that 800 number.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Hand it out all over the place. Tell people to call. Ms. Kingdom will look into it. I think Deputy Mayor?
Absolutely.
Come
No,
up with
thank
some
you.
good
That was
suggestions.
my reason for coming tonight, is to please ask for help once and for all. These people have to get the message.
Mrs. Dixon, I have no doubt in my mind, if it wasn't for that, you would have found another reason to be here tonight, and you're more than welcome, ma'am.
I enjoy coming to visit you.
I have no problem whatsoever. I enjoy seeing you, too. I'll
But-
tell you what, the first day you ain't here, I'm going to halt the meeting and come find you.
When it comes to lives and safety, it's important. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? This time, I'd like to close the public portion of the meeting. Anything else from anybody in the governing body?
No, sir.
Councilwoman?
I don't want to hear from you. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. For information purposes, municipal offices will be closed Monday, January 17th in observance of Martin Luther King Day. We do have a regularly scheduled meeting, a regular meeting Tuesday, January 18th, executive session at 6:30, regular session at 7:30. Everybody drive safely this evening. It's a little bit of black ice out there. Go a little slow. The meeting's over early. No reason to speed. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion, Mayor.
Can I have a second?
Second.
How about a roll call, Ms. Woman?
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes.
It's 8:30.
Good night,
Announce it, I
everybody.
just won.